What would you do if staying silent meant the death of your people, but speaking up could cost your own life? One young woman faced that choice in the heart of the Persian Empire. Her name was Esther, a queen by position, but chosen by God for something far greater. Welcome to the channel. Today, we journey into one of the most powerful stories in the Bible, a story of courage, hidden purpose, and divine timing. The story of Esther. Long ago, in the days of King Ahasuerus, ruler over 127 provinces stretching from India to Ethiopia, the king held a grand feast. For 180 days, he displayed the riches of his kingdom and the splendor of his glory. Princes, officials, and nobles gathered to celebrate. The palace overflowed with luxury, golden goblets, royal wine, and decorations beyond imagination. But during the feast, the king made a decision that would change history. He called for Queen Vashti to appear before the guests, wanting to display her beauty. But Vashti refused, and the king's anger burned. With Vashti removed, a search began for a new queen. Throughout the empire, beautiful young women were brought to the palace. Among them was Esther, a young Jewish woman also called Hadassah. She had lost both her parents and had been raised by her cousin Mordecai, who loved her as his own daughter. Before she entered the palace, Mordecai gave her one instruction: do not reveal your Jewish identity. Esther obeyed. And among all the women, Esther found unusual favor. Her beauty was noticeable. Her humility was unforgettable. When the king saw Esther, he loved her more than all the others. He placed the royal crown on her head. Esther became queen, but no one knew she was Jewish. While serving near the king's gate, Mordecai overheard two royal officers plotting to assassinate the king. He warned Esther, who informed the king and gave Mordecai credit. The conspirators were executed, and Mordecai's act was recorded in the royal records. It seemed small at the time, but that record would later save a nation. After these events, the king promoted Haman above all the officials. Everyone was commanded to bow before him, and everyone obeyed, except Mordecai, not out of rebellion, but out of faithfulness. Haman noticed, and his pride turned to hatred. When he learned Mordecai was Jewish, his anger grew beyond one man. He decided to destroy all the Jews in the empire. Haman manipulated the king, accusing the Jewish people of being different and disobedient. Without knowing the full truth, the king gave Haman authority. A decree was written. On a set day, all Jews in the empire were to be destroyed, young and old, women and children. The message spread through the empire, and fear spread with it. The Jewish people mourned deeply. They fasted, they wept, they cried out in sorrow. When Esther heard of Mordecai's mourning, she sent to ask what had happened. Mordecai sent her the decree and urged her, "Go to the king, plead for your people." But Esther hesitated. Anyone who approached the king without invitation could be killed, and she had not been called for 30 days. Then Mordecai sent back words that would echo through history. "Do not think you will escape because you live in the palace. If you remain silent, deliverance will come from elsewhere. But who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" Esther answered, "Gather all the Jews, fast for me 3 days. Then I will go to the king, and if I perish, I perish." After 3 days of fasting, Esther put on her royal robes and stepped into the inner court. One wrong move could end her life. The king looked up, saw Esther, and extended the golden scepter. She lived. The king asked what she wanted, but Esther moved wisely. She invited the king and Haman to a banquet, and then another. She was waiting for the right moment. Haman left the banquet full of pride, but then he saw Mordecai still refusing to bow. his joy vanished. At home, his family advised him, build gallows for Mordecai and hang him in the morning. Haman agreed, and the gallows were built. But God was already working. That very night, the king could not sleep. He ordered the royal records to be read, and there he discovered something forgotten. Mordecai had saved his life, but had never been rewarded. At that moment, Haman entered the court, planning to ask for Mordecai's execution. Instead, the king asked, "What should be done for a man the king delights to honor?" Thinking it was himself, Haman described great honor, royal robes, the royal horse, a public celebration. Then the king said, "Do that for Mordecai." Haman was forced to honor the man he hated. At the second banquet, the king asked Esther again, "What is your request?" This time, Esther spoke. "If I have found favor, spare my life and spare my people. We have been sold for destruction." The king was shocked. Who would dare do such a thing? Esther answered, "The enemy is Haman." The king rose in fury. Haman panicked, but it was too late. The king ordered Haman executed on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. Evil had turned on itself. Haman's estate was given to Esther. Mordecai was promoted. But the original decree remained. So Esther pleaded again, and the king allowed a new decree. The Jews could defend themselves. Hope returned. Messengers raced through the empire, and mourning turned into joy. When the appointed day arrived, the enemies of the Jews attacked. But this time, the Jews were prepared. They defended themselves, and they prevailed. What was meant for destruction became deliverance. Their sorrow turned into celebration. Their fear turned into victory. To remember this great deliverance, Mordecai established the Feast of Purim, a time to remember how sorrow became joy, how danger became victory, and how God preserved his people even when his name was never spoken. Mordecai rose to great power in the kingdom, respected by the Jews, honored in the empire, working for the good of his people, speaking peace. And Esther's courage became part of history forever. The story of Esther reminds us that God is always at work, even when we cannot see him. He places people in the right place at the right time for his purpose. Courage in difficult moments can change the lives of many. Faithfulness matters. Wisdom matters. And obedience to God's purpose matters. Sometimes your moment of fear may be the very place where God wants to use you. Maybe you too were placed where you are for such a time as this. If this story encouraged you, subscribe for more Bible stories and faith-building content. And remember, God's timing is never late.